All right, and we are live. Just gonna do a. All right, sound works. We're good to go. So, welcome everybody. I wanted to keep this one short and simple and just to the point. It's been a long-standing project that I've been working on, and as people trickle in, for those that don't know, the way that it works over at the Los Angeles City Hall is whenever there's any sort of public meetings, whether they be the regularly 3 times a week city council or any of the committees like finance, environmental, public safety, and so on, you actually have to register to speak if you want to make public comment. Something that a lot of people don't understand about Los Angeles and why the state of California is very unique is that California actually has a state law that governs how municipal and city level public meetings work. And that law is known as the Brown Act. It's a very powerful piece of legislation that is very unique and limited. Last I checked, to about 3 states only, where by state law, it is legislated that every municipal level public meeting, you are entitled to actually have a section dedicated for the public to give comment on. That is not the norm in every state in the US. In fact, most states, you are entitled to view the meeting. You can hear it. It must be accessible to people to hear and listen into. But as far as actually having a dedicated section so that anybody that is a member of the public can speak to, that is not guaranteed. Now, some cities do have their own ordinances where they allow, on a policy basis, for such a section to be given to the people to make public comment. However, that is not a guarantee. There's no standard, and the vast majority of cities and states across America do not have such a policy. Interestingly enough, if you take a look at large metropolitan equivalents to Los Angeles, New York State, and in fact, New York City do not have such legislation. New York City Council meetings and its committee meetings do not have any of that kind of guarantee mandated by law nor mandated by local ordinance within the city. And so LA is quite unique in that regard, and so is the overall state of California, where every single city meeting that is public, you are entitled to have public comment be made. And that is incredibly powerful. It's no longer just the entitlement to listen in on and see. No, it goes far further than that. You are entitled to give public comment, and it goes even further. The Brown Act actually makes it a criminal misdemeanor that can be wobbled up to a felony for any time, each and every time that a government official interrupts your public comment period. It is a law, a state law in the state of California, where a government official can actually be criminally prosecuted for the egregious behavior of cutting and interrupting any member of the public's public comment period when it is time for public comment section. And again, the Brown Act mandates that every city meeting that is public, there has to be public comment period. So that means city council, that means neighborhood council, that means the committees, that means the commissions. All of those bodies have to give you public comment. That is your right as a attendee and a member of the public at each of these meetings. And it's a very powerful piece of legislation that is, again, unique just to California. And unfortunately, in Los Angeles, particularly at the city council meetings, it is very well known that every council member, whether it be the president, Sleazy Marchese, whether it be the creepy deputy city attorney, as we call him, Pumpkinhead, whether it be the clerk, whether it be any other government official from the city, okay? Any of them, and pretty much all of them, at some point in time, have deliberately interrupted a member of the public's speech during the dedicated public comment period. And they do so in the most deliberate and vile of ways. They always interrupt and it's to get you off your flow. They will make up all sorts of crap excuses that have no grounding in any law, policy, or anything of the sort to take away your time that is lawfully that you are unlawfully entitled to. And what I wanted to show you today is the software system that the Los Angeles City Council uses to actually manipulate, harass, and violate people's First Amendment rights and the Brown Act during these public meetings. And so, like I was saying earlier, the way it works at City Council over at Los Angeles City Hall, as well as each of the committee meetings, you have to actually register to have a place in a queue and wait your turn until a name that you registered with is called upon. Now, the beautiful thing is the Brown Act does not mandate any sort of naming convention you have to follow. So in other words, to register, you can use any name you wish. It does not have to be your legally mandated government name as shown on your government ID. It can be any name you want. Does not matter. You don't have to put your personal information at all when you register. So you can go to the kiosk, you type in the name that you wish to be use to be called on, and then what you do is you just simply choose the items that you want to speak on. There's a giant submit button after you do that, and then your name gets entered into a roster of a queue of people that are going to speak. Each and every staffer has access to this list and can manipulate this list. So the deputy city attorney has direct access to the list of people that registered. The clerk has the same list. The presiding president of the meeting has the list. Each of the council members has access to this list, and they can see in real time as well as delete and shuffle around the order of the names that appear. And what I want to show you today on your screen is actually for the first time through lawfully obtained public records, an actual screenshot of the software system that the city council uses to, in fact, manipulate, delete names, and kick people out of the meetings. And so even if you can't see it all too well on your screen, do not worry. If you go on the video description, I put a link to the documents themselves, so that way you can zoom in and see this screenshot better. It's actually quite a giant screenshot overall. And it actually shows you can see the name of the meeting just in the middle section here. And then just at the bottom, you can see the list of names of each of the people that register to sign up to speak. And the most important part, I think, is you can see two icons next to the list of names. One is a red trash can icon where you can delete the name of the person that is registered to speak. That's right, you heard me correctly. Or you can actually delete that person's name, kick them off of the roster entirely without the person who signed up ever knowing. So at every and any point in time, any of the city government officials, whether it be the clerk, whether it be the deputy city attorney, whether it be any of the city council members, whether it be the presiding president, any of them at any time can boot you off that list. You would never know about it, or they can simply shuffle up the order. Despite your name coming up first in that order, they could just as easily put you all the way at the very end and pretend like you were never even signed up. The bottom line is, this is the tool that the LA City Council has denied existing, then backtracked, and then even the Los Angeles Information Technology Agency, which in shorthand is also known as the IT department, I call them. That is the department that the city government of Los Angeles uses to procure any and all technology assets, whether they be laptops or software like this. They are the executive arm that manages anything to do with technology for the city of Los Angeles. I did a public records reach out to them first, and I simply asked them for records pertaining to this tool. And you can see here in a tab I'm going to switch over just to now, I got them to say on record, if I'm going to scroll down here just a little bit, where the IT department literally stated that this software tool does not exist. They explicitly had the audacity to outright come out and say in writing that they are denying the existence of this tool, that it's completely a figment of my imagination, despite the fact that on countless video recordings, whether it be from myself, whether it be from Audit LA, whether it be from Herman, whether it be from Wayne, and on the official city council video footage itself, you can literally see countless times that the president admits this software is used and it exists, that every city council member exists, that this software is being used to manipulate the roster, that the clerk knows about it, that everybody is in on the joke, they all know it exists, but yet you have the official branch, the official arm of the city that handles all technology assets outright lying blatantly to our faces and saying that it does not exist. Well, lo and behold, it does in fact exist. And after countless departments talking offline and through this official records meeting, it does in fact exist. I was able to obtain through lawful means a copy of a screenshot of the software system. And this in fact is, for the first time ever, after years of the city denying the use and its existence, this is the first time ever that we're getting a public access to the very same software tool that the city uses to suppress and violate people's First Amendment rights and the Brown Act at every city hall public meeting. It is egregious. It is disgusting. And unfortunately, this is obviously not the first time it's happened. About a little over 11 years ago now, there was a case of somebody that you guys might locally know as a performer known as Zuma Dog. His real legal name is actually David Saltzberg. And what David Saltzberg did is he actually sued the city of LA for violating his First Amendment rights and the Brown Act. And he actually won on that claim. And the judge that that wrote an opinion on that case was very clear that cutting people off during public comment is a clear and egregious violation of the Brown Act and the First Amendment. That people who go up there to speak and give their criticism of the government and any other topics they want to speak about during that dedicated public comment period, it is those people's rights to use that time as they please under First Amendment protected activities. So long as you're not making criminal threats, it is perfectly acceptable to criticize the government and speak your mind about what the government is doing. And so we have that legislated on the books. That case was very successful, despite what a lot of people think, that just because they didn't get individually as plaintiffs, millions of dollars of payouts, the city actually did have to cough up on that David Saltzberg v. City of LA federal case. The city did have to cough up $2 million of attorney's fees to handle a stupid case. But because they are so power hungry, because they're such tyrants, they just can't help but violate people's basic constitutional rights. And so that simple act, and repeatedly doing so to people like Zuma Dog, and now in modern day age to Wayne, to Herman, myself, Audit LA, and pretty much anybody else that goes up there to speak, Stacy, that dares have a completely critical view of the city, gets their public comment period shut down, gets their First Amendment right violated. And so we have good precedents, though, set forward by David Saltzberg, where they run a $2 million payout for their attorneys for the simple act of getting your public comment period shut down. And so fast forward to today, we have this document definitively showing that the software system exists, that the city does in fact use it to violate people's First Amendment rights, that they're not going to stop unless a judge orders them to stop, and that they're doing it in much more sophisticated fashion than before, and that a city department outright lied at the existence of the tool. But we have hard definitive proof through these records that the tool exists, that the city is manipulating the public comment period of we the people's time that we're entitled to. And I just wanted to make this video explaining what all that is. I made a YouTube post containing these records if you want to see for yourself in full. If you check out the description, you'll see a link to the documents there. And I hope that this puts a better picture into explaining how the whole city of LA governance and structure looks like, how people register to speak, and just how shady and the tactics that the city is using to violate people's First Amendment right in such a blatant and disgusting fashion. And so that was pretty much all I had. I'll take a quick look to see if we have any questions, and if not, I'm just gonna call it quits for today. I have another video scheduled for eventually when I have some further information regarding the Bureau of Street Services and how they're colluding with third parties to take down the details regarding special events permits on their special events permits calendar, which you're able to at one time, for a very long time, in fact, up until a year and a half ago, view entire details regarding the public special events that the city of LA had going on. You could see the permit owner, the location, the specific boundaries that the event was held in. And so I'll make a follow-up video to that, but we'll see if we have any questions really quick, and if not, we'll just call it quits here, and we'll move on. All right, see some shout outs for Wayne. Yep, I agree. I hope Wayne, I already shared it to Wayne. They're very enthusiastic, and so yeah, he was very happy to see this come to fruition. And so and with that, I guess we'll just wrap it up here. I appreciate everybody's time and support, and with that, I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out. Thanks again.